Hello, everyone. How are you? We're going to give it just a couple more minutes to let folks pile in. I see we have Ed, Mana, Kim, and Terry. For those of you who haven't met Terry, he just started with us, what, a week ago, Terry?
Yeah, it's about right. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm just happy that it's starting to get lighter out. It got pretty dark here this morning. I was with Ed and I was like, it feels like it's nighttime.
Yeah, I was just in Camp Hill and driving back. It was still pouring, but now back here in Carlisle, it's looks like the sun's hopefully going to peek out and maybe it'll be nice today.
That would be fabulous. Hello, Matt Madden has joined us. No pressure.
No pressure at all. I saw your email and I was curious because I want my 33 touch to be better. So always looking to learn.
Well, I'm excited. I made it to where it's editable because of course, everybody runs their businesses different. So we need to make sure that you can easily edit it to fit your needs. And yet I think it provides a good structure and at least provides ideas. So we'll see. But all right, let's see. We'll go ahead and get started. It's 11 a.m. Just for your warning, I guess we are recording. So if you turn your camera on or your voice on, it is recorded and it will be posted to our YouTube channel. So for all to see. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And we're going to just start in the command dashboard. I'm going to minimize my little videos here. So on the left-hand side, you have your little white KW in the red box. I always just like to say, go ahead and click that, and then you can see what all your icons mean. You don't have to memorize them. And we're going to go into smart plans today. Now, I have a ton of smart plans because I like to play with them, edit them. I use these for my one-on-one, so you might not have any here, and that's completely okay. So your screen might look different than mine. If you wanted to get a smart plan, you would just go into your library, and there's over 2,000 here to choose from, and that can sound a little bit overwhelming, but I say just start with a couple and kind of build your way into it with your comfort level. So the first thing I want to show you is just how to create your own smart plan. Because we've been getting a lot of feedback that there's a lot of smart plans in there, but it's not doing exactly what you want it to do. So we're going to start with just creating one. So when you're in your My Smart Plans home screen, you'll see this green or bluish button that says create. You're going to go ahead and just click that. And then you need to name your smart plan. So something that you're going to remember what that smart plan is about. So maybe you want to create a, post-closing smart plan. You could just title it, click apply. And now it's going to open up your smart plan screen. You see here it says you can add steps, save, and also pick a trigger. So sometimes you might want to just automatically add someone to a smart plan you have created. You can actually have a trigger event. So for example, maybe if you add a tag called closed to your client, then it'll automatically add them to the smart plan for you. A key note here is it doesn't go backwards, right? So if you already have people tagged as closed and now created this smart plan, it won't go back and add them, but it will moving forward as you add the tag. So then you would have to manually add your past clients to that smart plan. On the right-hand side, you have a bunch of items that you can choose from. So you can either create a task that just reminds you to do something. So maybe, for example, if this was a post-closing smart plan, your first task might just be to remind yourself to mail a card. You can maybe have a stash of cards at your desk and you can mail them, a congratulations card, or a home warming gift, whatever fits your business needs, you can create a task here to remind yourself to do that task for that client. Then maybe you also have these options to set delays. So maybe after you mail a card, it might be a part of your business plan to follow up with your client in a week. So you can click set delay on the right-hand side. And then in 7 days, you can do this up to 30 days. You can then say, okay, I'm going to give myself a task to call them, check in, and see how the move is going. And this is just your way of making sure they have no additional questions after closing. Did the move go smoothly? Is everything with the house going okay? Do they need any references for contractors for maybe some updates they want to do? And then you can add, another task. At this point, you can even connect smart plans. So there is an add to smart plan function. So maybe now you're like, okay, after I closed with them, I had their monthly check-in. Now I want to make sure I'm contacting them every quarter. So then you can add them to your quarterly call plan, which is a separate smart plan that we've talked about before, but you can find that in the library. I think maybe if I just type my quarterly. Nope. Give me a second here. I have so many I have to scroll through. That's kind of my fault. There we go. You can add them to your quarterly call plan, and you can do as many of these connections up to, I think the maximum steps is 15. So you can add them to your quarterly call plan. You can also add them to monthly neighborhood nurture, right? Because maybe your clients want to know how their home value is doing. If you add them to the monthly neighborhood nurture smart plan that we've talked about before, as long as the address is in their contact card and you add them to this monthly neighborhood nurture, they're going to get 1 email a month that just says, hey, this is what's going on in your neighborhood, not your zip code, but your micro market. So super personalized, and that way they can see how their home value is doing compared to other homes that are selling in the market. But again, you can link this to as many as you want. And of course, you could add them to a 33 touch program. Once you are done, you want to make sure you click save. There's these little check boxes here that save each step. I learned the hard way though, if you don't click this save button in the top right corner, your whole smart plan doesn't save. So don't be like me, make sure you hit that save button. I hit it quite frequently, especially if I'm building out a long smart plan, because we all know technology has hiccups, whether your Comcast internet goes out, your battery died without you realizing it. And it can be really frustrating if you've added 5, 6, 10 steps to a smart plan and you forgot to hit that save button. I've been there, so don't make that mistake. You can edit smart plans then at any time. Oh, I have to add this one. We'll just do that. Oh, I did something wrong. We'll go back. So maybe there's a smart plan that you like, but maybe it has too many steps. So for an example, I think I've talked to a couple people about the birthday smart plan. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the little pencil button on the right-hand side there. And they might say, well, I like the fact that the birthday smart plan says, send a handwritten note. That's me. I like to send handwritten notes. But then maybe you look here and it says, okay, you want to call them. And then the next day you want to post on their social media. And then it gives an auto text. And maybe you're like, you know what, I'm just not a social media fan. It's not my style. You can just come here, and wherever the step is that you don't want in your smart plan, there's this X, and you can delete that smart plan. Now in my screen, it has this little stop button. I don't know if you notice it. It's not letting me delete this step. Once you've added a smart plan to a client, and if it's active, you cannot edit your smart plan. So you want to make sure that you've narrowed down your smart plan, how you want it to be before you start adding contacts. So I have a couple people on the birthday smart plan, so I'm not able to hit this delete button, but it is there as long as you're not having it active on someone else's contact. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can go into this library and say, wow, there's a lot of great smart plans here. Let me just pull one here. So for example, we have a couple new agents to our office. Here's a new to Keller Williams new license. There's also a new to Keller Williams, currently licensed. You can add these in and edit the steps so that way it matches your needs. So you don't have to keep it as it is. You can even edit the texts that are in emails. I'll show you one of mine. So for example, I have all of you on smart plans for my tech training alerts. That's how I make sure that everyone gets, sorry, I'm choking. There we go, got a little dry mouth there. But this is how I make sure everyone gets the alert that, hey, I have a training coming up. So in the email, I can just click these 3 dots, edit it. It warns me that, hey, once you edit it, it edits for everyone. And then I can click inside the box and then a pencil will appear and I can change the text over here. Once I change the text, you want to make sure you hit this done button. So you can notice as I type in this box, nothing happens over here. That's normal. You have to change, you have to hit done. Type over here on the right-hand side and click done to change it over here. In your emails, all you have to do is click on the images. If you want to swap out images, you just click edit. This little pencil means edit. Trash can means you want to get rid of it. And then on the right-hand side, I just click replace. I can upload an image from my computer, or I can add images that I've already used before. Now, before you click replace, you have to actually click on the image again to select it and then click replace. So just a little tidbit there, something that took me a little bit to realize. I thought I was doing something wrong. You just have to click that image again to highlight it, and then you know it's ready to replace. You can change the sizes of your photos. You can add a link. So I don't know if you've ever realized, but I put my YouTube links to my images once I send out a recording. And then again, same thing, you have to click done to make the changes. Now inside this email, I can add more text blocks by dragging and dropping from the left-hand side. I can add buttons with clickable links. So maybe if you've looked at my emails that say, hey, here's your past training that was on this Wednesday. If you missed it, you can watch the video. I add clickable buttons that bring you right to the YouTube. When you click on the button and you click the edit, that's where you can select link to web address, and then you would just copy and paste your YouTube video link in here. You can change color. You can change if it's round or square, how big it is, what position it's in. So a lot of functions that you can do inside the emails to make them unique to you and your business, as well as your colors. Now, of course, automatically on the bottom of these emails, these design emails, is going to have a function to download your app. So if you're not sure if your app is properly connected, just message me. We can work on that together to make sure that your app link is sending out to everyone on your smart plan. I'm going to go ahead and just exit discard changes. And then you can see I have an auto text then that also goes out. So everybody knows where to go for these tech trainings. And then I would just click save. Before I open up the 33 Touch, does anyone have any questions or need me to go over anything again?
Very helpful. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, Brittany, I had a quick question. It's Mana.
Hey, how are you?
Good, thanks. At the very beginning, when you were doing Create Smart Plan, so the birthday plan is one that I always thought quite cumbersome because I don't do, call, text, email, all those steps for everybody, but I already have that assigned to a lot of people. So if I want to create my own, at the beginning, you showed the button that said trigger. So if you click on that, does it give me the option to the trigger be somebody's birth date? Is that what you're saying? To start my own new plan for birthdays?
Sure. So the triggers are usually, from my understanding, are tag related.
Okay.
But let me just take a quick look here. I already have a birthday. Let's see. Edit. And I'll actually, now that you say that, I'll also show you how to unsubscribe people from a smart plan. So that way, if you're creating a new birthday plan, you're not getting inundated with tasks telling you to do multiple things for 2 different smart plans.
Okay.
But yeah, your trigger event is a tag. So maybe you would
Okay.
want to do a birthday tag.
All right.
And then you can see here, I can select which tag I want it to be, like a 33 touch. Maybe I'm only doing it for, my A+ clients. Whatever would trigger in your mind that that's something that these sets of people are definitely going to get a birthday card or text message, whatever your preference is. Once you add that tag to them, then it will automatically add them to your new birthday plan.
Okay.
And in smart plans, under contacts, there's a column here for contacts. And there's like this little eyeball. It's the best way I can describe it. If you click on that, it'll show you who is added to that smart plan. And let's say, for example, you have them on a KW birthday smart plan and you're like, I don't like it, it's too much. You can hit this select all button and then click unsubscribe all. And that will turn that smart plan off for all of the people that are on that smart plan. So that way, when you
Okay.
add them to the new birthday smart plan, you're not getting 2 tasks to send out a card or 2 tasks to call them, whatever your tasks may be. And then you can also unsubscribe just one at a time. So maybe you just want to undo one client because maybe you inputted their birthday wrong, right? You can click unsubscribe just that one client versus the whole list if you ever needed to.
Okay. And then one other quick question. You had said that the maximum amount of time between tasks is 30 days.
Yes.
So I'm assuming the quarterly call plan was actually set up by KW International. I was just wondering if there's a way around that, because there are some things that I prefer, like maybe 60 days over 30 days.
Yes. So that's a good, I kind of do a workaround. I'm trying to think on one that I did that with. I think it is my 33 touch. But you can just add like basically either a blank task, or if you're adding them maybe to another, maybe you want the same people to be on the same call plan. You can have them added to multiple smart plans in one smart plan, which will help with that delay. So for example, I'll pull up my 33 touch part 1. So there's 3 parts to this, but you can see that I have it linked to some smart plans. And then I just create a task for myself. And that helped me build in between those delays, because I may have only wanted if I may have wanted multiple delays, I would just add them to another smart plan that I know that I want everyone to be on anyway. So I kind of chained them in that sense to help make the delay longer.
Okay.
The other thing you can do as well is add a restart smart plan. So that way you don't have to remember to do it every year.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Anybody else? Those were great questions. And I do think that's something that's on KW's radar. So with my position, I'm on a lot of tech calls, kind of knowing what's coming, issues that we're having, we get to express to our regionals like, hey, this is something that our folks are asking. And I believe the delays and being able to make them longer than 30 days and being able to make smart plans longer than 90 days is something that's on their radar. I can't tell you when it's going to change, but it's definitely something that's been brought up.
Hey, Brittany, one more question on that, if I could.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
On the plans, now you said about like it does an automated text message send as a potential. I'm assuming you can do an automated email as well.
Yeah.
With the social interface, is there a way to automate the actual post to Facebook or LinkedIn?
So from the smart plan, no. But if you go into campaigns, a workaround for that would be you can schedule out your social posts. So if you go into campaigns and up here, there's a tab for social posts. You can see here that you can actually schedule out your posts as far as you want. So you can say, okay, I know I want to post on 4th of July, a 4th of July post. The only thing that it can't do is it can't post automatically to someone else's page. So maybe you wanted to post a happy birthday post to Jane Doe on May 5th. You would have to just manually do that, but you can schedule out posts for your personal business page through campaigns.
Got it. Okay, great.
That's a great question. All right, so we'll move on to 33 touch for now, but at any time, if you have other questions, just chime in. I can't see you because when I share my screen, I have to minimize the video so I can have access to my screen. The 33 touch, I will publish this afternoon, so it's not published yet. If you create a smart plan and you think, man, this is an awesome smart plan, I think other people in my market center or all of KW would benefit from it. There's these 3 dots on the far right-hand side. You click that. You can either copy it, so that way maybe you can make edits to it while one is active, or you can click Publish to Library, which then makes it accessible for any KW agent that uses Command, or you can delete it. So maybe you didn't like it, it wasn't for you, you can just delete it right there. So my 33 touch is 3 parts. Parts 2 and parts 3, you have to add yourself as a contact, and you're actually going to add part 2 and part 3 to you because they're just reminder tasks for you personally. If you were to add them to everyone that you're going to assign to your 33 touch, you're going to get however many people are in your 33 touch program, 50 tasks to remind you to plan an event. And we don't need you to do that. That's going to be overwhelming. So I like it when you add yourself as a contact to Command for multiple reasons. One is it's great to test your smart plans out on yourself. That way you can see what it looks like in your email, how it looks like on your cell phone versus your laptop. How does the auto texting work? I think using yourself as a guinea pig just gives yourself more confidence when you're adding other people to it. So I think you should have yourself as a contact in there anyway, maybe utilizing a personal email. I also have my husband in there. I think having a second pair of eyes never hurts, right? When you keep rereading your own text, oftentimes you kind of miss some of those grammatical errors. My husband's great at catching when I miss, a comma. Because when you're looking at something for so long, it all starts to just read the same. So anyway, add yourself as a contact because part 2 and 3, you're going to add yourself to that smart plan, not your contacts. However, part 1 is going to be added individually to your contacts. So in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, they talk about a 33 touch plan. Does anybody know why they suggest to do a 33 touch? I'd love to have someone chime in so it's not just my voice on here today. No? Silence?
Doesn't it have to do with the wave? I'm only partway through the book, but it has something to do with that wave, right?
It does. I think I know. Are you talking about, the 7-year cycle?
The buying cycle, basically.
Yeah. So basically, I'll shorten it as much as I can. So people buy homes every 5 to 7 years. That's an NAR statistic. And oftentimes we're really good as realtors as staying in touch with them in that 3-month hotspot before they're ready to buy a house. But then in that 5 to 7 years in between them buying homes, we tend to not be so great, right? It's just how we are. We kind of fall off following up with people because we're so busy on focusing on the people who want to buy right now. Truth of the matter is, though, that when we close with somebody, that one person probably knows about 100 other people. So if we're staying in contact with them regularly through something like a quarterly call plan or a 33 touch, which is even better, over the course of that next 5 to 7 years, not only are we gaining mind share in hopes that when they do buy a house in 5 to 7 years, they're going to reuse us, but we're also staying in contact with them in hopes that when they have a friend that needs to buy, or a coworker or an aunt or a cousin twice removed, they're going to recommend us because we're constantly staying in contact with them through quarterly calls. Maybe we're emailing them 12 times a year. We're hosting events a couple times a year that we invite, our top clients to. We're doing pop buys. We're doing social media posts, and they're our friends on social media. So that way they're seeing these little slivers of Brittany Giles as a real estate agent. I think the NAR statistic was 91% of people who used a real estate agent said they had a great experience and they would reuse that realtor. But then the sad part was that it was like only 9%. Madden, if you remember the statistic, feel free to chime in, actually did reuse their realtor because a good bit of them forgot who they were. They forgot their name, couldn't figure out how to look them up. So then they just used someone else. Whatever that statistic is, it's still not good for us. So Gary Keller and the folks that helped him write MREA put together a plan with this 33 touch. And that's what I modeled mine off of. With that said, it's editable. So if you don't like something that's in here, edit it, delete it out, make it unique to you. Maybe instead of doing pop buys, you like to mail out a quarterly magazine. You can tailor that. Maybe you don't like to use auto blogs, right? You can tailor it, add other steps, delete mine out, so that way it works for your business. There's a lot of good smart plans out there that have great bones, but then you get to edit it. Just like a home, right? We tell our buyers like, hey, this house has great bones. Like this has everything on your list except the updated kitchen. You can always update the kitchen because you have room in your budget. Same thing with the smart plan. You can always edit it so that way it matches you, your voice, your business, and your budget. So part 1 starts with the very first phone call. So we talk about the quarterly call plan, and some people are like, well, what do I say? So task 1 is just going to remind you to call the folks that you would like to add, I should say, to your 33 touch. And you're just having a basic Ford conversation. So family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Don't even have to talk about real estate. Then throughout that conversation, you're asking them for permission for you to stay in touch with them. For an example, you can say, hey, I have this awesome, neighborhood snapshot that I like to send out to some of my clients only one time a month. It's tailored to your specific neighborhood. So if you're interested in seeing how your home value is doing in your specific neighborhood, I could add you to it. Again, it's only once a month. Is that something you'd be interested in? I think most people are going to say yes. If they say no, that's okay. But if they say yes, now you have permission to stay in touch with them. When you're on that call, it doesn't hurt to just try to update as much of their contact card as possible, because then when you add them to other smart plans in the future, it's going to just make your life easier, like their birthday, right? If you can get their birthday updated, you can also add them to your birthday smart plan. So task 1 is just having that forward conversation and then getting permission to stay in touch with them. Task 2 is adding them to the My Monthly Neighborhood Nurture. So you are going to have to download the Monthly Neighborhood Nurture that KW created. All you have to do for that smart plan is, as long as they have an address in their contact card, this will work, and it will send once a month a snapshot of what's truly going on in their neighborhood. It's a really awesome smart plan that takes up 12 of your touches for you automatically. So on day 2, you've already knocked out 13 touches between talking to them and then having a plan going forward. Task 3 is just saying, hey, now that you got their permission to stay in touch with them and you've added them to the Monthly Neighborhood Nurture, you also want to make sure you have a 33 touch tag. This is just going to make your life a little bit easier for when you need to pull your 33 touch and just make a list. And I'll show you how to do that after we go through this. I also have a link in here. So I provided links in each of the tasks. So that way, if you're not sure how to do something, you can of course contact me. But if you need it right away, you have this link here to show you how to add a tag and how to sort by your tags. Your next step is going to be to add them to HomeKeeper. So we had this HomeKeeper webinar a couple weeks ago. I'm also going to do a quick video and post it out there to show you how to add your folks to it. But basically what HomeKeeper does is it sends them a personally branded newsletter to your contacts for you. You can have this set up weekly, monthly, you choose how frequently you get it. So again, even if you just do monthly, that's taking up another 12 touches for you without you having to do anything. You don't have to reinvent the wheel if you don't want to. Now, maybe this isn't for you and you're saying, you know what, Bernie, I like to write my monthly newsletters. That's totally fine. You can either delete this step or you could edit it and give yourself a task to remind you to time block time once a month to create and send out your monthly newsletter. I have a link in here for HomeKeeper, as well as a link to the video, so that way you know how to set it up. You can also add HomeKeeper to your Facebook to auto post blogs to your social media for you 2 times a week. Then I have a 30-day delay. And this was kind of my workaround. Remember, Mana, we were talking about how I had to work around things to make the delays work. I put in a delay so that way I could, or it's a 1-day delay, I should say, to add them then to the birthday smart plan. So that'll automatically add them to the birthday smart plan. Again, that's an additional 4 touches if you use KW's model. Then I have a delay of 30 days. That sends an auto text messages. And all that's doing is checking in with them. So you told them, hey, I'm going to send you this monthly neighborhood snapshot. Now in a month, you can check in with them and say, hey, I wanted to make sure you're getting that email. What do you think? Just wanted to make sure it didn't go into your junk mail. Hope you're doing well. Another touch, just checking in to make sure something worked, gaining that mind share, and it's doing it automatically for you. So as long as you have Twilio, you don't have to think about this step. It just automatically does it. So there again, another touch. Then it creates a task to just remind you to send a note card. So part of Gary Keller's 33 touch, it's 4 calls. I think it was 4 note cards, 2 to 4 events, and then 24 emails. We're changing up some of those emails to social posts, however, to make it a little easier. So there's a note card. And then in 28 days, you've had the phone conversation with them. Now you're setting them up to call them again quarterly in the next 90 days by adding them to your quarterly call plan. So you can see this first step, or the first part of the 33 touch, it's linking a lot of other smart plans together. So that way a lot of this 33 touch is actually 100% automated for you, this first section. So that way, really all you have to do then is make the quarterly calls once this is in place, host the events or do the pop-bys, and then post to your social media on occasion if you want to go above and beyond what HomeKeeper does for you. So before I leave this part, is there any questions here?
Hey, buddy. Good. How about you?
we're going to go with that as a no. Don't be overwhelmed by this, because there's a lot of pieces here. I will absolutely schedule one-on-ones with you. If this is something you want to do, but you feel like you couldn't quite connect all the dots on your own, you might need a little extra help, no worries. That's what I'm here for. We can absolutely schedule a couple one-on-ones to get this in place for you. Oops, we're going to discard changes because I didn't make changes. Now, part 2. This is your quarterly pop buys or events. Now, MREA says you only have to do 2. You don't have to do 4. But I think who's done, is it Buffini that recommends 4? So I did 2 to 4. So that way you can do this however it fits your business needs. My first task is just time blocking when you're gonna host an event or when you're gonna do the pop by. If you're not sure what time blocking is, I have a link in here to a really helpful YouTube video, which I'm going to post on our group page. It's called The One Thing for Time Blocking with Jay Papasan. Awesome video that really goes deep on time blocking. I mentioned time blocking probably in every single one of our trainings, and I realized I've never done a training on time blocking. So here's a great video that you can watch. I also give some examples of pop buys and events. So for example, I just rented out a movie theater room. I didn't do this for real estate. I just did it for my kids and their friends. But for 20 people, I got a room reserved at RC Cinemas in Carlisle for only $150. That would be a really cool event that you could host for maybe some of your top referral partners and clients. You can do more than 20 people. Of course, it costs extra if you want to get a larger room, but I do give examples in this task. So that way you're not floating around going, what am I supposed to do? So for example, spring, you could drop along seed packets along with a note that says your referrals are the blossoms of my business. And then of course you would attach your business card. I have an example for summer. That could be just an ice cream scoop that you get from like the dollar store. And it says, call us for a scoop on the real estate market, or you can even attach a tag that says something like your referrals are refreshing to little packets of lemonade mix. So I give you some ideas in these tasks. And again, part 2, you're assigning to yourself, not to your clients, because you don't want 33 reminders to send out hot cocoa mix, right? You only need 1. I also just give you some suggestions on where you can find other ideas for pop buys if you don't like the ones that I have listed, as well as the fact that you can mail them. So maybe you don't want to do a pop by or an event, but you could mail them something once or twice a year. How many of you get the calendars, like the magnetic calendars for your fridge from like 2 or 3 different people in January or December for the new year? That's something that you could do. I think Dave Hook used to send those out. You can mail out notepads, things that are cheap. Of course, you don't want to do something too expensive, but whatever fits you in your budget. Then I created a delay. And then you have a task that says, okay, well, now that you've time blocked time for these events or pop buys or mailers, now you need to time block some time to actually plan it. Okay. So it takes a lot of time to put these things together. So if you break it up over a period of time, it makes it a little bit easier, especially when we're in these spring markets or this crazy sellers market. It might be easier if you do a little bit over a course of a couple weeks versus trying to do everything in one day. Of course, if you're the type of person that likes to do it all in one chunk, you can absolutely do that. Tailor this smart plan to how it works for you. But I have it set up to where you can have 1 to 2 hours for figuring out when it's going to work for you, 1 to 2 hours for when you can plan to do it, figure out what you're going to do. And then I have tasks assigned to time block time to actually get ready. So that might be having to export mailing labels. So if you're mailing things out, or you can actually export the mailing labels just so you know where you need to go to drop off your pop buys. I have a link in here on exactly how to do that. So that way you can sort by your tag and then export their addresses. And that's why that 33 touch tag is so important. Then I set a delay, and of course you can figure out when you need to make these delays. So maybe you want to do it in the next week. Maybe you can do it closer to when your pop by is or your event is, depending on what you're doing. So you can change these delays to fit your needs. But then the next task is going to be, okay, now you need to order or go to the store and buy the items that you need. So maybe it's ordering invitations. Maybe it's ordering the supplies for your pop buys. So go ahead and time block some time to do that shopping. So that way you have it done in time. Now everything comes in and you need a task to remind you that you need to time block time to put it together. And I feel like time blocking is so important because if you don't put it in your calendar, that's when you start having that panic of, I don't have time to do this. You have time, you just got to make sure you schedule that appointment with yourself to do these things. So that way you don't overbook yourself and run out of time. Then if you're doing an event, now maybe you're not doing an event, you can delete this task by clicking the X here. If you're doing more, you're going to them versus they're coming to you. But if you're doing an event, it's really helpful to time block a day, a couple days or a week ahead of the event to call everyone who's RSVP'd, make sure they're still coming and they remember. And I would probably recommend calling the people who haven't RSVP'd to make sure, hey, did you get the invite? Do you want to come? So there's a task in here to remind you to make those reminder calls. And then of course there's a task and you can change when that'll be to actually host your pop by or your event. Now I have a note in here that some people do this in one day. That's what I used to do. I would time block an entire Saturday and I would just hit up my list because that's how I liked to do it. I think Dave Hook, he used to carry around his pop buys, and then as he went to his appointments, he would drop off to the folks that were kind of on his way or like in that area. So that way it kind of matched his appointment schedule. So again, whatever works for you and your business. And then I have it delay set for it to repeat. So that way it just happens indefinitely, reminding me that I need to do these things to keep the pop buys going. Are there any questions here on the pop buys or events plan? I'm going to go with silence as a no. Does the rain make everyone sleepy? I feel like it does. 33 touch part 3. This is for your social posts. Again, this isn't for you, if you're not big on social media, maybe you make this time blocking to do a monthly newsletter, or maybe it's time blocking to send out more cards. Whatever is what you like, that's what you should do, right? Whatever your strengths are, I feel like you should pull from those. So just because I like social media, Mana, you might prefer sending handwritten notes. I think that's completely fine. And then you can just structure this and instead of it saying time block for post creation and scheduling, you can highlight and retype and say time block for handwritten notes. So just remember, this can just be the bones of your structure to help get you started, but then you get to design it how you want to by editing and deleting steps and maybe even adding steps. In my time blocking for scheduling post, there's a reminder that you can have Homekeeper auto post to your Facebook page twice a week. I have an article here on how to do that. So here's a guide on how to connect your Facebook to Homekeeper. There's also a guide here on how to schedule out your social posts. So trying to give you as much information as possible so that way you know how to do that current step. And I have a little pro tip here on, you don't have to have this plan repeat. If you're the type of person that says, you know what, I'm just going to do this every Monday at 9 a.m., you could put it as a repeating event in your calendar, and then you can just have this smart plan and you're good. Or maybe you like that reminder in your command to remind you to do these things. You can have your delay maybe be 7 days if you want to do it every week. You can have it be every 30 days if you want to do it every month. Whatever works for you is what you can do. And then I have a delay for a week And then it just reminds you to comment, respond to your comments and your social messages. So it's cool if you post your social media, but it's not helping you if you're not following up with comments and likes and messages. So if you see that Jane Doe is always liking your stuff when you post things about selling their home, you can just private message Jane Doe and say, hey, I noticed you've been liking a lot of my posts about selling a house. Have you been thinking about selling a home? Use that as an opener and an excuse to message them and have that real estate related conversation. If they're commenting, the more comments you're getting on your post, the more that it's going to start to be visible to other people in their newsfeed. So go through it and make sure you're responding. Also, people like it when they get responded to. So they know that Brittany Giles responds to their comments. So what's the word I'm looking for? They will tend to post more or comment more on my post because they know that I will respond. So they like that interaction. One thing that I learned in the last week was the term, I've heard it before, but it really hit hard with me, was emotional proximity. And a lot of times, because in our world, we are so tech savvy and we're social media advocates, right? We're not having that voice to voice as much. So we really have to try to connect with people, and we might have to work a little bit harder to create that emotional proximity. So my pro tip would be, don't have all of your social posts be only about business. I think the pictures of your kids or your grandkids doing something special for a holiday event is really cool to post. People love pets. Post about your pet doing something, whether it's silly or just something that might bring a smile to someone's face, because those are the ones that are going to get the most comments. And it's going to help you create that emotional proximity with folks, because you're human and you're showing that human side of you, not just the business side of you. And that's the same thing with making sure you're responding to comments, because you're adding that human element, not just the auto post that you don't respond to anything. You're not a robot, you're a human. So try to keep that in mind. If you look at my Facebook pages, I do post a lot to my personal, but I try to keep it, family, business, personal achievements, because that's what connects with other people, because other people who have kids can relate. And other people who have had a struggle can relate to the struggles I've had that I post about. So just kind of keep that in mind. There is a book here. I even added it in the task as a pro tip, but there's a great book called How I Built a Massive Social Following in 30 Days by Brendan Kane. Not that we want to have 1 million followers, that doesn't have to be the goal, but he has a lot of great tips in that book on how to get more social media engagement. So I put that in there for you. And then I have it repeating one time. You can have it repeat unlimited if you'd like, or not at all. Maybe, like I said, you'll time block the time to do it in your calendar, and then you don't need the reminder, but it's there if you'd like it. So that's the last step to the 33 touch. So you'll need to download 33 touch part 1, part 2, and part 3. And let me just go out. I'll show you how to do that. So in your smart plans, if you click library, you can actually filter. And when you filter by author on the right-hand side, you can just type in Brittany Giles, and then you have to click the box. And then it'll click filter results. And then you can see all the smart plans that I've created, and the 33 touch will be there this afternoon. I wanted to go over it with you first before I published it, in case there was any suggested changes that I make. I'm always open for feedback. And then I'll show you quick how to filter. So when you're in your contacts, you can click filter, and then you filter by tag. I have to change my tag to 33 touch. Dave did a 36 touch, so that's why I'm so used to that 36 touch. Then you click apply. So now only the folks that are in my 33 touch program pop up. So now if I click this box next to name, it's going to highlight everyone, and it says select bulk action. I could either add them all to a smart plan. So I could add them to that 33 touch part 1 here. And then I can also click export mailing labels. So if I click that, it takes a little bit and it says your export was successful. Please check your notifications. And it says, yep, your export is complete. I just click. And now I have a CSV of everyone's address, so long as I have their address in there. And now I know where to mail my invites to, or I know where I need to drive around and do my pop buys. You can put these in Google Maps. There are apps out there called Map My Route, where if you upload, you can actually upload this list of addresses to Map My Route, and it will calculate the most efficient route for you. So just a little tip there to make pop buys a little bit easier. So that's all I have for all of you. Do you have any questions, concerns, comments? All right, well, I will get that published today, and I'm going to put my email in the chat box. If you want some help getting this set up, go ahead and email me, and we can set up some time to get together. You don't have to do this alone. And also remember too, if you're not quite ready for a 33 touch program, that's completely okay. Like, you can work up to it. I'm a big advocate about taking baby steps. So maybe start with the quarterly call plan and then the neighborhood nurture, because they're like the 2 easiest that you can do. And then maybe add the birthday plan, right? And build on it. You don't have to do everything all at once. Don't overwhelm yourself. This is a crazy market. Take baby steps and add it to your calendar in a way that works for you. We don't want to overwhelm you. We want to help this make it more efficient for you so you can grow your businesses efficiently, not in a stressful manner. So don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you all for coming. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope this sun stays out so that way if you have showings this afternoon, it's not in the rain. So I'll talk to everybody later.